Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. John Kelly, profiler here, and welcome. Welcome to today's show. We're going to be doing it on Asa and Victoria Heuermann and the Heuermann family, and trying to really get to the bottom of what's going on with some of the denial and some of the sad dependency that this family had on Mr. Rex Heuermann. And Mr. Rex Heuermann is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. There's no question about it. We've got a lot of victims out there. He's the major suspect. As the Long Island serial killer, I want to send our deepest condolences out to all the victims, their families, their friends. It's very sad stuff. Very, very sad stuff. The name of our show today is going to be pretty much a focus on sexual addiction, torture. What a fetish. I mean, seriously, think about it. Think about if he is the serial killer, if he's found that he is the killer of these women, the sexual addiction that this guy had in his fantasies, terrific fantasies, and his fetish being torture. I mean, that's how it looks to me. We'd love your comments. If you like what we're doing today, please like us and please send us your comments. But this looks like a sexual addiction serial killer. Okay, he's filled with a motive of sexual torture. So, I mean, that's got to be his fetish. That's why he likes to torture women. Many serial killers that are killing out there for sexual reasons are not into torture. So he's at the top of the list in his category. Also, I want to bring up our channel. It's free, Thrive, John Kelly's Thrive. Worst serial killer out there is drug addiction. If you have any addictive illness going on or with yourself or in the family in any way, if you want to be educated, we have John Kelly's Thrive loaded with educational vids. Really good. Check them out, and hopefully it can help you out because we want to try and stamp out addiction. There's no question about it. Drug addiction is really the worst serial killer that's out there. With that all being said, I guess we're going to get on with our show. I want to thank Pam Bogart for coming today, and we're so honored to have her. Fantastic investigator, 30 years in probation, really did a super job. She's a member of our stock team. What can I tell you? That says it all. She wouldn't be with stock if she wasn't as good as she is. She's really, really good. And, she's not scared to do a deep dive into any of this stuff. And she comes out with some great information and answers. So, Pam, welcome. And thanks for showing up today and coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having
me. You're more than welcome. At this point in time, I'd also like to put my book out there. Always forgetting about my book, but I've gotten so many great comments from you guys. I don't want to forget about it. And I can't thank you enough for the purchases and the comments. Discovering Lazarus, the good, the bad, and the ugly of John Kelly. How I came from drug addiction into being a counselor, moving on into a psychotherapist, and eventually becoming a profiler. So thank you so much. And for all your kind comments and your purchases. With that all being said, Pam, what do you think here? What do you think about, what's going on here? I mean, it's very sad watching the show, the documentary that was done with Asa and looking at Victoria and, also Christopher. I mean, these three people, to me, I feel as though, and it's my opinion only, that it's like they were hostages in a way. I mean, these guys usually they don't have relationships. When I always say they take hostages. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the way I always look at these guys because they're so focused on power and control. Okay, and they're not very feelings oriented usually at all. At all. I don't know. Again, we've got to focus on Rex Heuermann being innocent until proven guilty. But I got to tell you, this is usually the way it goes. So it's kind of like these folks, Asha and looking at Victoria and Christopher, they're dependent on him. They're
Mhm.
dependent. Where are they going to go? Where are they going to run? I mean, I mean it, and you know what, Asha, you know, you got to understand that it looks like, she's madly in love with the guy. At least I'm feeling that, and I understand it. I understand it. I don't believe she really knew what he was doing. I mean, she may have had some understanding on some of his sexual desires, but I don't see her being in the know when it comes to missing and murdered and tortured people. I don't pick that up from her. I don't pick that up, but I see a woman that is in love and in deep denial, and I also see a woman who has two children, who has cancer. She's a cancer survivor. I mean, where do you go? What do you do? I mean, how do you navigate these waters? I don't know. What are your thoughts on
Well, I think that's a great way of putting it, that they were hostages. I think they were like emotional hostages, right?
it? Absolutely. And
Right?
not only emotional too, but think about they have no money, right? That I know of, or I mean, the only one that had a job was Victoria, right? That I know.
Right, but you have to look at Asa's backdrop, because she was adopted, right, as a child, um, by an American couple, because she actually was, I think she was born in Iceland. I think her brother was adopted by an Icelandic couple, and she was adopted by an American couple, right? And I think she mentioned on that show that there was some kind of sexual trauma in her past. Then she goes on to meet him, really. I was surprised at this. She met him when she was 18, working at the 7-Eleven, and he was in college, Rex. And so, they didn't get together then, but she admits to like being like immediately like falling for him, right? Like just in love with him. And then he marries somebody else. She marries somebody else. Here's a child by, her husband. And then she's in a bad situation where she talks about, she didn't know what she got into, or she didn't see that side of her husband when she married him. And here he comes, because he had just got divorced, and he comes along and rescues her. So that's why she, I assume, called him her hero, right? So he takes her in because she had no place to go. He gets an attorney for her so they can fight for custody, I guess, of her son, Christopher. And so, like you said, she had nothing. He gave her something. He gave her a home. And so, what really, probably to me, is abnormal, that whole home and the up, his home being abnormal, it became normal to her, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah,
Love is blinding too,
sure.
right? So, I mean, and I've seen it. We have seen it in other addictions. You and I have witnessed the dependency or codependency, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
We have witnessed the denial, right? And we've witnessed this around other addictions. Now, certainly years ago, I believed that serial murder was an addiction because if everybody was out there saying, well, serial killers can't stop, they can't stop, they can't stop. Well, I mean, common sense is if you can't stop something, you're addicted to it, right? So now, you fast forward and you take a look at it and you say, wait a second, is the murder an addiction? And after these years of researching and profiling, I come to the conclusion that, if the murder is part of the ritual, it's addicting, right?
Mhm.
But lots of times the murder itself is witness disposal. It's not part of the sexual ritual. However, in Rex Heuermann's case, we're looking at supposedly,
Mhm.
what the prosecutors are saying is that, yes, this torture, sexual abuse, and murder was part of the ritual. So when you look at Heuermann, you have to look at this addiction to sex based on the various different women that have come forward, sex workers that have come forward and talked about it, and of course the sex workers that have been tortured and murdered by him. Supposedly, again, this is what the prosecutor is saying. We have to sit back and see what happens at the trial, right?
Mhm.
But the point I'm trying to make is we've seen codependency before and denial before in other addictions. Now we're seeing it up close and up front, okay, with a serial killer with a
Mhm.
serious fetish for murder and torture, okay? Sexual torture. I mean, this is, this is, right at the top. In all my years of doing this, he's right at the top if he's the guy,
Right.
sadist.
And when you're dependent on somebody, right? When you're codependent or dependent on somebody and you feel so madly in love with them, you're going to excuse a lot of their behavior. So she probably turned a blind eye to a lot of, you know, things she saw. I don't mean, the murders. I mean more the sexual activity.
Yeah,
And
and I think you're absolutely correct when you say blind eye,
mhm,
because that's what denial is, really.
right.
With what we've seen over the years in just about any addiction. I mean, don't want to believe what's going on. Okay, they don't want to even entertain it. Lots of times we've seen that with kids where parents turn a blind eye because they don't want to believe their kids addicted or strung out and probably could die. I mean, it's almost unfathomable for a parent to believe their child could die from addiction, you know? So that's what sets off denial. And then, of course, you have different groups out there, like Al-Anon and Aranon, trying to help women, break through their denial and live with, the reality of the day, right?
Mhm.
So with this, I mean, there's no Al-Anon for the relatives or wives of serial killers, right? Or of murderers in general. So bottom line is, you know, this woman stuck with herself, and I'm sure extremely in love with him and not wanting to see everything there is to see. But at the same time, she's got to protect these kids too.
Right.
I mean, is it and just cancer from what the
Right.
allegations are she has cancer, right? Or we know that for
But
a fact. I mean,
there's just, it's almost like through life there's too much to deal with. So her mind is probably overloaded. And because in the beginning of her life, right, adoption, loss, losing your brother, he's back in Iceland, you come here, there's some kind of sexual assault, one husband, second husband, you can't keep it, it's too much.
Yeah, I mean, she got hit with a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no question about it. And you're looking at, you know, abandonment maybe in Iceland. We're
sure.
talking then abandonment over here. You
Mhm.
know, I mean, how many times can you be abandoned before it really starts to get to you? Then finding the love of your life, and now ending up in, guess what? Another situation that may cause abandonment because, you know, if he's found guilty, he goes away, right? And she's abandoned again,
Right.
right? So that, just those dynamics on top of,
Mhm.
you know, all the other stuff that's going on. And you're absolutely right about denial. I mean, denial is the psyche's protector.
Right.
You know, I mean, it will protect your brain and your mind and your whole psyche, your system. Okay, I mean, it's gonna protect you. That's what it's built in. It's like your built-in, you know, psyche protector, because as you said, you can't handle everything at once. There's too much. So your brain says, okay, well, if we deny it didn't happen, or if we look the other way or keep a blind eye, then we can continue, you know, to try and get to the other end of the pathway here. You know, it's like just trying, just being in survival mode, just
Right.
being in survival mode, and trying not to, you know, focus on or embellish, you know, the different things that are going on around you. I really believe that. I really believe that, you know, they're victims here, of, you know, Rex Heuermann and his, you know, horrific, you know, sexual addiction and torture addiction. I really believe that they're victims as well.
But did you notice her body language in the documentary? She's very, she was not like engaging with the camera. She kind of like a lot of the things that were being presented to her, which, the evidence, which was hard. She would not look towards, the person who was interviewing her, trying to kind of deflect from.
Yeah, I mean, to be evasive, that is kind of, you know, a deflection in itself. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's playing defense, right? To try and keep it together, keep it together. I have to believe she did the show because she needed the money.
Right.
I mean, my God, I mean, how do they stand, uh, you know, legally, as far as civil lawsuits go and everything else? I mean, you know, I mean, this is survival time for her. She's just trying to survive, you know, and so, you know, you're looking at, you know, trying to have some money that you can count on because, you know, the lawsuits are coming. If he's found guilty, the
Hmm.
lawsuits are coming. And even if he's not found guilty, there's still civil court too, right? I
Hmm.
mean, just because somebody's not found guilty for breaking the law, they can still be sued civilly. So I think, you know, she's preparing for an oncoming tsunami
Right.
that her family's definitely going to get hit with.
Right. Right. What?
Um, you know, I was looking here to see what other points of interest we had, but the one thing I have such a hard time wrapping my head around is this fetish. You know, this horrendous, horrific fetish, whatever how you want to say it. I mean, all these guys have a fetish. They all do. There's no question about it. And as you know, we try to lock in on that, and hopefully it brings us closer to the unsub, right? So, with this fellow, if in fact he's the guy, his fetish is about torture and dismemberment. Like in my mind, I'm going back and forth. Well, is dismemberment just about witness disposal? Or does he like it too? Is it part of the fetish? Is it part of the sexual, deviant ritual, right, that he's involved in? And the problem I have with it is, well, it seems he was moving the bodies in the beginning further out of town, again, if he's the killer, but yet, parts of the bodies were left around Gilgal, right? Body parts. Then in the end, there were whole bodies. The Gilgal Four were left right there, right? But if you start looking at it and you say to yourself, well, if it was witness disposal, body disposal, why didn't he just put all the body together in one place and dig a hole and bury it and get rid of it, right? But yet he moves maybe the major portion of the body up around Manorville or further away, but there's body parts left close by, like around the Gilgo area or whatever. And you say to yourself, well, that's not certainly complete body disposal because he left some body parts here. So what is that about? Is part of the fetish also taunting the police?
Well, that's what I was just going to say. And I think he liked to, screw around with people's minds. So, that's a sense of control over that, right? Ha ha, I got you.
Absolutely.
You'll never
Absolutely.
figure this out. Yeah.
And when you talk about screwing around with people's minds, I mean, let's take a look at this guy changing up on his MO. I mean, how many times you see that?
Yeah.
In a particular close area where
Right.
you have very similar victims and you're believing it's one guy, but because of him changing up his MO, and especially, some are cut up and some are not, can lead you to believe there's at least two killers instead of
Right.
one. And he pulled that off. He had people believing that because I was up in the air with that.
Right.
I was up in the air with that because most of these guys, you really aren't into the cutting, you know? And, you know, as you know, I've talked to various serial killers, and a lot of them, they really don't want to get into the bloodiness of it all. They really don't. They're more into power control, strangulation or blunt force trauma. They're really not into, cutting up a body and hauling it around. They're not into that. But this is going to be interesting. And the other interesting part of it is how old he was when he got caught. I mean, these guys usually start, 25 or earlier. I mean, with this type of sexual addiction that he has, this violent sexual addiction that he has, I mean, I got to believe there's more out there. I got to believe we have more victims. I will not be surprised whatever I see. Nothing will surprise me at this point.
Right.
How about you? Is there anything else you see?
Well, I kind of wanted to go back to the documentary only because do you remember the part where the whole family was down in the basement in that secret room? It's beyond where the guns are kept, but that room, that was the first, did you know that was the first time anybody's been in there from that family?
Besides him, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she basically said nothing was off limits with him. Like he didn't keep anything from her, like his computer was out in the open, but he closed off a room. Like, that's how that's how strong her denial is.
Mhm.
And she was sort of like talking about the fact that the attorney was saying to her something about the planning documents. And she kind of passed it off to something like Dexter would do. Like, it's just, they're picking on him. They're finding these little things and picking on him. Well, what about the fact that your hair was found on these? Who else could it be? Right? But then there's, like I said, the strong contrast between how she is
Mhm.
and how I looked at the daughter through the whole document, that she was just like processing stuff to me. She was processing and her mind was more open. Whereas towards the end of the video, they were saying that she pretty much believes that it could be her father.
Yeah, the way I looked at it is, she's like mulling it around in her mind and going over the facts. And I think a lot of support came from, Carrie Rawson,
Right. And
Royston, and
Melissa
I
Moore, right?
mean, yeah, I mean, I think that was, very, very, very helpful. Now that's BTK's daughter, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, because I keep
Melissa
getting,
Moore is Jesperson's daughter.
yeah, yeah. I really think she is able. Her mind is able. Victoria's mind is able to be more open because she's not as consumed with the dependency that Asa has, for Rex. I mean, she's deeply in love with Rex. Rex was her lover, right? And they're married, and Asa's got way more emotional skin, if you will, involved, in the game with Rex than Victoria. Victoria's, more of a free thinker. She loves her father. I have no doubt about that. I have no doubt about that. That they don't love their father, but I also think they are not as emotionally enmeshed with Rex as Asa is because, again, that was her, you know, uh, love of her life, right?
Right.
And that's what we see with denial all the time.
I wonder if Victoria is in some kind of therapy though. Maybe that's why there's like a breakthrough, a little
Could
bit of,
be,
you know.
could be. I would suggest you got therapy. I
Oh
would
yeah.
suggest that right from the beginning, no question.
The attorney might have suggested that. Their attorney.
Absolutely, absolutely. She's a young girl, she got her whole life ahead of her, and you got all this going on. I mean, it's just kind of mind blowing. I mean, the other thing too, when you look at Asa and the trauma of it all, right?
Mhm.
And of course the denials to help with the trauma. But how would you like to go home and you got all this going on emotionally, and your husband's gone, or he's one of the worst serial killers ever? There's people are saying, and they're hauling him away. He's in jail and everything, and your house looks like somebody drove a truck through it, right? I mean, the house is destroyed.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you?
There's another
I,
trauma.
it's more trauma,
Mhm.
and it adds to more dependency because how do I dig myself out of all this, literally, financially? I mean,
Right.
this is, I have to put the families in there as victims as well. I really do. Certainly not to the point where, the murdered victims and their families are not to that level. But,
Right.
but his family, if he's the guy, are victims as well. Like I said, if you look at most of these guys, they usually pick up women that they feel much smarter than, and they feel they can control and have power over in some way.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
So they can't think for themselves either. So she probably has a harder time thinking for herself.
she can think for herself, I believe, to a certain extent, but when you are overwhelmed too, I don't know. I don't know. I think she's been in survival mode for a number of years. I can't believe this man was easy to live with and be his wife. I mean, his first marriage didn't last very long at all, and she had left, and
You probably saw the red flags, the first wife, right?
well, yeah, and it really is uncharacteristic for most women to not have a very nice, good-looking house. They want a clean, usually good-looking house to live in, and especially in that neighborhood in Long Island. So I have to assume at some point you may have talked to him about it or whatever, but him being an architect, I mean, and do not,
That
the
that
looks
brings
of the house meant nothing to him.
that brings me to a part of the documentary where you remember where he redid the bathroom when he sent her off to Iceland,
Oh yeah,
and he told her that he had a surprise for her, that he did the entire bathroom over. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, with these guys, to be honest with you, usually anything they're doing, any ideas they come up with, pretty much anything that comes out of their mouth is basically for them to serve them well, to serve their needs in some way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
Because of that pathological narcissism that they have. I mean, they are just focused on, what they want, when they want it, and their gratification, whatever it may be. I mean, so I mean, we could really speculate on a new bathroom. No question about it. So. But I guess we're just going to have to wait and see what other and wait till another shoe drops to see exactly what's going on here. I'm sure they're looking at him for other cases. I won't be surprised with any cases that come up. I can't see him being the Atlantic City guy, the case we worked on, the Atlantic City killer. He could surprise me. Atlantic City killer has never been caught, so he could be surprised, but I don't think so. I mean, there's definite changes in behavior there, and certainly it didn't look like torture was on the menu.
Atlantic City.
Atlantic City killer. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
is there anything else you want to say before we break?
I don't think so, John. What about you?
No, I think we covered it pretty much all. Let me just see if I have anything else. No, looks like we covered as much as we could come up with. I want to thank you so much for coming today, for showing up. I'm
Yeah.
really honored. And I truly appreciate our audience. Our audience loves you. I mean, I think the world of you. And I can't thank them enough. And please, we love your comments. Send us your comments. We want to hear what you have to say. That's what's most important to us. Also, what's more important is please take care of yourself. Keep an eye out there. We live in a violent world. So if anything comes up, please focus on yourself, taking care of yourself. And until we meet again, God bless and take care. Have a good day.
Thank you, Jim.